guys. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you again for joining us. Now we're on our fourth and final at the Militello house.
There's another one later this
We
week.
have an additional, on
Polly's.
Thursday at Polly and Mark's. Run back, but anyway, thank you for joining us. We have been so happy, and I'm super grateful that we got to do this. And I hope that it's been helpful for those of you that keep coming back. We appreciate that. Yeah, I'm happy to see that several of you have come back, right? Because I think we're all in this sort of spot. Many of us are in the same spot of trying to figure out who we're going to vote for.
Yeah.
John?
And also, I think people who've been here before heard me say this, but the idea of voting in a primary to me is more important sometimes than anything else. Because if you're not engaged early on, you can't really understand who you're voting for. Everybody talks about there's a red and a blue side, and I don't like either of them. And if you don't like either of them, like I tell people all the time when we knock on doors and go canvassing, they're like, well, I'm not registered, or I'm a Republican. And it'd be like, register for whatever you want so you can vote in those elections, because you're going to get better candidates. And I heard somebody in a red state saying, we should all register as Republicans and change the party, right? So primaries really matter. It's, I think, where you can get access to candidates before they're fundraising, and the only access is the big money events. But it's
Early
also
access.
I was gonna say they aren't fundraising.
yeah. But it's really about understanding and shaping who we all are led by. Is us being involved early on, and that's how we save democracy, because we know it's a threat, and things have happening in the world every week. It gets worse. Just like when we started this like 4 weeks ago, we didn't think it could get any worse. It's gotten worse.
Right.
And it becomes more important and more dire as the days go on. And we've got, 3 more years of this. So, with that,
Anyway.
welcome. Thank you. I don't want to be...
We're going to be up.
I'm going home.
We're going to be
but that's why it's important.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
But that's exactly why it's important to understand who your leader is, who the candidate is, get to know them, and make sure we hold them accountable, and we get them to do those things to save the country. So I think that's really important. We're all doing God's work that way.
So thank you, Brendan, for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Dusty
having me.
says thank you.
Thank
He's a Democrat.
We're going to sit down.
Okay.
And Jackie's going to introduce Brendan, who's
thank you.
And Jackie. For those who don't know, Jackie Euston was for a time our assembly person.
That's right.
And here representing us.
I know Brendan for at least 20 years, something like that, and we've been friends. When I first met him, he was a very young man. I was younger. And I've seen him grow enormously over the years. And we've worked together on a number of campaigns. We've worked for other candidates against each other. And
Primaries. Never
yeah.
I just wanted to be
It
primaries.
never affected our friendship. Why I like Brendan is because he comes through. He's very reachable. Whenever I've called, I've always gotten a personal phone call back. I don't know that you'll always have that time, but it's been great. And I just want to touch on one other thing. Brendan has been endorsed throughout the district by many, many elected officials. And that is a positive. And some people have made it into a negative, which I don't understand. These are the people that call him mayors, congresspeople, assembly people. They call him because they need help, or they need information. And Brendan always makes sure to return his phone calls and solve problems. So with that, I will introduce my friend.
Thanks, Jackie. So first of all, good evening, everyone. To Tom and Michelle, thank you so much for doing this. For everyone, just for being here. So Jackie, when you actually met me, I was 22 and had just had the opportunity to volunteer on then Mayor Bill Pascrell, who was running for Congress in this district, against Bill Martini, who was a Republican. It was actually a very similar time. It was 1996, so you can do the math on how old I am now. It was 1996, and it was the first midterm election after the contract with America. So if you remember, Clinton's elected in 92, 94, the contract with America comes along. It's the biggest, what we thought at the time, it was the biggest assault on environmental norms, equal voting rights access, transportation, infrastructure. And this district was a swing district at the time. I was fresh out of Seton Hall University, lived locally, started volunteering, and they asked me if I would help do some of the organizing in Essex County. And one of the first people that I had the opportunity to meet was Jackie Eustein, because Jackie at the time was the leader of the local Glen Ridge Democratic organization. So we put a meeting together. It was 3 of us in Glen Ridge at that time. There were 3 Democrats. It was a quick meeting. But yeah, but ever since then, we've had the opportunity to work together, and also Jackie served as a mentor for me in many, many capacities, because she has been not only a local leader, but she's a person who's worked at the county level, has served as our state assembly person, and has been active in civic life. Her family is also very active. I'm proud to count them among my supporters, and I just want to give her a round of applause for everything that she has done for our community for a long time. So many good friends in the room. I see our mayor here, our councilwoman Charlie. Thank you so much. Deb, I see, how are you? Good to see you in the back there. I'll start naming everybody. I'm sorry. But hopefully, I'll be really quick for those who don't know me, a little bit about who I am, about my candidacy, and I really just would like to also get to questions, because I think that's most important in where we are. I think what we're doing right now is actually how we're going to not only restore our democracy, but enhance it. So I start by saying that, this is just not about a campaign. This is not just about February 5th. This is about, I think, a long-term conversation about how we're going to save our country, quite frankly. So I am launched my campaign on November 10th. I'm born and raised in the township of Montclair. I launched my campaign in front of my parents' home. My mom and dad still live there. My dad is a retired public school educator, 53 years in the Montclair public schools. He was part of the movement that actually helped to integrate the Montclair public schools in the early 70s. And I learned a lot from him being at that kitchen table. There were 5 of us. Hi, how are you? Good. There were 5 of us in that home, 1 bathroom. I shared a bunk bed with my younger brother, a lot longer than I care to remember. But what did I have access to? It allowed me to have access to a good quality local public education, affordable health care, an infrastructure system that worked, a clean and open environment. It allowed me to get to college, build a career doing things that I love doing in service. That included working for 2 members of Congress. I went on to work for the late Congressman Bill Pascrell, Congressman Steve Rothman, went on to run the offices here in New Jersey for the late Senator Frank Lautenberg, and also served as a senior advisor to Senator Cory Booker. In addition to that, I also worked on campaigns. I was the campaign manager for Governor Murphy in his primary and general election in 2017. I ran Senator Booker's 2014 Senate race. I worked on all of Mikey Sherrill's, our now governor's elections to Congress, as well as other elections. I was honored to be able to support Democrats, not just Democrats, but public servants up and down the ballot who I thought were really true champions of democracy. In addition to that, I've served locally. I've been on the Essex County Board of County Commissioners as one of our county representatives for over a decade now, the legislative body of county government. You might have heard of this county executive. He's a very humble guy. He doesn't put his picture anywhere. He's by the name of Joe D. We have a $780 million county government, 3,700 employees. It is really the intersection of government and people's lives. It includes every county park, our zoo and recreation complex, the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, our correctional facility, our vocational schools, our county schools. So lots of interaction both between government, federal, state, and local, but county really being the place where you deliver government services, sometimes even more so than locally, respectfully, to the to the people, but to the people. So extensive local government experience. I'm married. I have my wife is a Colombian immigrant, emigrated to this country when she was 14. She also was involved in public service. She serves in the New Jersey State Assembly. She's the first Colombian American to ever serve in the New Jersey State Assembly. And we can come to this, like, family separation in my family is real. This is not an abstract issue. I have a 17 and a 14-year-old. Please keep me in your prayers right now. They're in the schools in Montclair, but my kids are Latino, and we are dealing with these issues every single day. I'll give you just a quick side story on that. My 8th grader, just a few, probably maybe a month or so ago, came home from school one day and she said, "Dad, listen," she was upset. And like, what happened? And there was some kind of altercation, outside during recess. And she said, I was arguing with somebody. Well, what happened, Kristen? Because she's usually pretty tough exterior. Why are you so upset about that? She said, well, Dad, we had an argument and it got kind of nasty. And at the end of the argument, the young man said to me, "Kristen, don't worry about it anyway. You're going to be deported."
Whoa.
And we don't blame the child, of course, right? But we know that level of hate is coming from the top right now. We have a big problem and issue to deal with that. Why am I running for Congress? Very simply, the things that I just talked about, access to affordable health care, access to an infrastructure system that works, access to a clean and open environment, access to communities that celebrate diversity and don't run away from it, access to places where we can have dialogue like we're having tonight. I'm looking at my children, I'm looking at the future, and I have no idea what this is going to look like. All of those things are slipping away from us, right before us, in front of us, in real time. We know that we have an existential threat to our democracy in Washington because of the president, because of MAGA Republicans, because of mis and disinformation that are being promulgated, across various platforms where we receive our information from right now. We know that we have a huge affordability crisis in this region. People like my parents who want to be able to live in the home that they raised their family in and be able to do that with a degree of dignity. We have a ton of issues. We have a tax fairness issue right now in this country where billionaires are not paying their fair share. But these two things, this threat out of Washington and all these issues that I'm talking about, are interrelated. Why do I believe, and what separates my candidacy right now from the people that I'm running against, is that I think you have to really understand and know the communities that you're seeking to represent. And I have that experience. So I have Washington experience, I have local government experience, and last but not least, I have organizing experience. I'm the leader of the Montclair Democratic Party, which is one of the most progressive organizations. I'm shocked that they still allow me to be the chair, quite frankly, in the state. We are a 14,000 volunteer plus led organization. We do a lot of stuff, obviously, in the region. Many of you participated probably in the No Kings rallies that we organized over this summer. It's a big part of who I am and my own identity doing that organizing work. And I think to be an effective member of Congress, you need to be able to do all of those things. Yes, we need an organizer. I agree. Yes, we need somebody who knows their way around Washington. Yes, I agree with that too. But you know what you also need? You need somebody that when you say to them, "Hey, do you remember the Superfund site in Carteret Park in Glen Ridge that was there for years?" was actually a part of cleaning it up. Could actually tell you where Carteret Park is without having to look on a map. I think that's important. Because you cannot be an effective representative right now in Congress unless you understand these communities that you're seeking to represent. I think it's critically important because right now in the short term, one of the things that we have to do in order to move forward or to push back, fight back, however you want to frame it, is we have to organize. We have to come together, we have to organize until we get in positions, again, to execute the things that we know we need in order to, order to advance, I think, what we collectively all believe in. So to me, whether you're talking about delivering, like, and I'll use Glen Ridge as an example, like understanding how transportation works, so you can deliver money for a shuttle service that Glen Ridge utilizes, or you can deliver money for, or maybe not, but I was there on the original version of that, or you can talk about what your train station looks like and what it should be because it's a local driver, or you can talk about the small businesses that exist in this community, or you can understand what the educational system looks like and what those needs may or may not be, or the changes that could be happening in the community. You need someone who understands those things, has the relationships to be able, because one person just can't do it, who also has the relationships to be able to follow up, and who can allow for the kind of systemic communication that you need to be an effective representative. Because I do believe your success in Washington, at least with the people that I worked for, I was lucky to work for Bill Pascrell and Cory Booker and Frank Lambert. All those people, they all had positions first, especially Cory Booker and Bill Pascrell. I highlight them a lot because they were mayors before they went to the federal government. And when you're a mayor, you don't have a lot of time for partisan discussion when someone wants to make sure why something's not happening. Not a lot of time for that. No, I remember Bill's to this day, no Republican or Democrat way to clean up the garbage, in front of my street. And that's the type of government responsiveness. I'm very honored Jackie would say that. I appreciate you mentioning that, but like as an elected official, like I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to respond to your phone call. I'm supposed to be accessible. You're supposed to know where to be able to get me. You're supposed that's the low-hanging fruit. Like, but not everybody does it, quite frankly. They don't. And I think that's really, really important. So it allows potentially for the type of leadership that I would be excited to bring. And I appreciate you, Jackie, mentioning those endorsements. Some of the endorsements they don't mention the nonprofit or faith-based and community leaders, right? They harp on elected officials because we know, Mayor, I'm very proud to have your endorsement, right? Because I know you're part of the big Democratic machine, right? We all know Debbie Mans is, you're just rolling in the dough of the big, right? So the idea that, it does get me worked up because when they attack those endorsements, you're not attacking me, you're attacking the people who made them, and you're attacking their integrity, and you're attacking their ability to make their own decisions. And the idea that anybody didn't endorse someone in this race other than because they thought this person was the best person to serve our community is not, forget about me, it's offensive to that person to characterize it that way. That's who you're seeking to represent. That's who you're seeking to represent when you go to Washington. You're seeking to represent those very people that you cast aspersions on. So there's 47 towns that make up this district. There's 14 in Essex. Like I said, I've represented them for over a decade. There's 27 in Morris County. I've worked in every single one of those communities in the various roles that I've had in government, and there's 3.5 in Passaic County. And again, I have worked in those communities as well. And I'm proud to say that I'm the candidate in this race that has the broadest coalition of support across this district because it is a diverse district. There is a big premium on understanding the distinctions and nuances between Little Falls, Glen Ridge, Madison, Morris Township, and Dover. It matters, in my opinion. And I think that's what ultimately I hope to be able to, if I'm honored to be able to serve this district, I'm able to bring to this job and would be excited to bring to this job. So I think I have that support because people have seen what I've been able to deliver and they're very excited about the promise of what I could deliver in the future. Last but not least, I'll just tell you we're just coming off of Martin Luther King's birthday or holiday. And I've been thinking about this a lot and talk about it a lot. There's a very famous picture of Martin Luther King when he came to speak in Montclair in 1966. He was supposed to speak at Union Baptist Church. The attendance was so large for this particular event, they had to move it to Montclair High School. You'll see this picture where Dr. King is sitting in the band room of Montclair High School contemplating what he's going to say, what he's going to speak about. I always thought that picture was cool, just so cool because I was in the marching band in high school and sat in that very room. But more importantly, it just showed like kind of the weight on his shoulder, the pensiveness, everything. It's an awesome picture. But there's also another picture that was taken that day where is not as famous and not as many people have seen, quite frankly. And it's a picture of 150 people on Park and Chestnut Street protesting his visit that day. And they're holding signs calling him a communist, calling him a socialist. Reportedly, there were American and Confederate flags wrapped together. And I think a lot about, like, what did Dr. King, right? Here he is in this northern suburb, which even at that time was considered to be more integrated than not, as he passed that crowd going into Montclair High School. Well, here's one thing he did not do. He didn't stop. He kept going. And he did what he thought he could do to meet his moment in time. That's what I think we are charged with doing right now. We have to move forward. This campaign is not just about me or who's going to serve the 11th district. It's about how we're going to continue to move forward to meet our moment in time. And I'm hoping, humbly asking for your support to be able to do that, to be able to contribute where I think I can contribute on behalf of you at this time. So I will open it up for questions at this point, if that's okay, and happy to talk about any of the various issues that are before us right now.
Oh, I have such an esoteric one. Why don't you take whoever?
No, I was gonna ask you, one of the big infrastructure projects that's important to the town is the pending Essex Hudson Greenway.
Yeah.
It has a main point of entry in Glen Ridge, and I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit about your history with that, and
Thank you, Mary.
for you guys don't know, Brendan was an early champion of the project.
Yeah, no, so now known as the Greenway, first state park in over 30 plus years to be created in the state of New Jersey. Be New Jersey's version of the High Line, in my opinion. It is a transformational project. For those who don't know, it is a 9-mile defunct freight rail line that goes through Montclair, Glen Ridge, Bloomfield, Belleville into Newark, and eventually connects into Hudson County, ending in Jersey City. It is a fantastic project in promoting public health. It is a fantastic project in promoting economic development. There are numerous grade crossings along the line, which contribute to our property values, which create all types of opportunities, again, not just for great public health outcomes, and I don't think these things have to be mutually exclusive. They create for good economic opportunity, good clean open environment, and good public health outcomes, all at the same time. Does not have to be mutually exclusive. That project was brought to me in 2012. It was then called the Iron and Ice Trail. The councilman, it's gone through a lot of iterations, and it was brought to me by a bunch of, so I was not in charge of the marketing. It took me 2 meetings before I realized what we were talking about. But it was brought to me by community activists, community members, and local elected officials. And up to that point, every single person said that the project would not happen, was never going to happen. It was a pipe dream, it was an impossibility to both find the money, to find the support at the governmental level, the nonprofit level, in order to do it. What did we do? We went to work for over a decade. We would not take no for an answer. We utilized, hopefully, a skill set and that kind of, and it's a good illustration. You needed someone, and this is not please don't take this not like it just wasn't just me. It was a coalition of people, but you needed someone who understood federal government, state government, county government, nonprofit and private sector money, how those things come together, how you build a coalition in order to do it, to get to the outcome that you want. And I'm now very proud to say that project is no longer a question of if, it's just a question of when it will be completed. The governor broke ground this summer. The first mile is basically done. You can look it up on the New Jersey DEP website. It is going to have a huge impact on our region. I cannot stress how excited so many people, not only in this region are, but across this state are about that project. And it's an example, hopefully, of one of the things that I was able to do, where I was able to put this knowledge that I have acquired over time to work in the right way on behalf of the people that have given me the opportunity to represent them. So super excited about that project, and also why we need somebody in Congress to make sure they're still right, to make sure to continue to bring home money, for that. So New
We need
Jersey.
our segment built.
Yeah, we
We
need.
need raises and multimodal to be restored, yeah.
Right, we have multimodal transportation, and one of the areas where I've spent a lot of time on bike and pedestrian issues. That's actually an area where I have spent a lot of time, both as a local elected official and in the federal work that I did. Mikey Sherrill, is known. We can talk about what happened. Just look what happened today with Gateway. But Mikey Sherrill, known as the Tunnel Congresswoman, spent a tremendous amount of time working on that. I worked for Frank Lautenberg when Chris Christie canceled the tunnel the first time, right? And which I believe is the biggest public policy blunder in a generation to affect this region. That it would be done today, it would already be finished, right? So I would be focused like a laser on transportation and infrastructure projects. I think it's a big part of this district, this region. Jobs drives our economy. Great investment, but the gateway, just what he announced today. I mean, it's 125,000 people in this region. It's over $1 billion of public work investment. It drives probably long-term, a couple 100,000 jobs. It's not an exaggeration to say like how critically, and not for nothing, these things are going to collapse. Like it's just a matter of time. Like it's insane that we're even talking about whether or not we're going to finish that project.
What happened today?
So Trump announced that he was suspending all of the money for the project.
Hasn't he done?
So-
Didn't he do that already once?
He took a more affirmative step about money that had already been appropriated, which legally he doesn't care about legally, but he did this during about a couple months ago where he said,
Yes.
but this was a very affirmative step that's also tied up in, of course, politics, right? Because there's no nuance to what he does. Like he hates Schumer, that's part of it. So anytime he can stick it to Schumer, he'll stick it to Schumer. And then there's other real estate interests that actually don't support the project for various reasons that he does care about. And since he's the most corrupt person to ever hold the office in the history of our country, well, maybe not in the history, but at least in the most recent, in the modern era, I would say modern era presidency. He's in the running. He's making different decisions. So who's in this position? Like right now, like today, this is like why not having a member right now is not great. And that's why we need to get somebody quickly, because we need someone to like get out there and be like taking it to him on this, not only to him, but also like doing the relational organizing, like on the phone with the governor, the Port Authority, Senator Kim, Senator Booker, like who's going to be the leader in our delegation on this. And that particular project, outside of, I would argue, outside of, our Hudson and Bergen representatives, like this is the district that project affects more than almost any in the whole, in the whole state. So I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted you to amplify further.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in terms of how does the Democratic Party nationally
Yeah.
mobilize? I mean, it's fine for this district to be mobilized,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt that they would be.
Yeah.
But without the support of the rest of the Democratic Party,
Yeah.
I don't see it really going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, look what's happening with ICE, look what's happening with Social Security, look
Yeah.
what's happening with Medicare.
Yeah.
For me, Medicare is very important. My wife just had a double lung transplant.
Sorry.
Without that, she'd be dead. That's
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
Without someone doing something about ICE, all of us can be walking
Yeah.
that path
Sure.
with ICE
Sure.
of this being put in Glen Ridge.
Yeah.
So I'm really very horrified
Yeah.
about what's going on in all aspects, and I just want to see some mobilization of the Democratic Party
Yeah.
as a whole,
Yeah.
supported by the New Jersey contingency, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So I think one of how I think about this is again is through coalitions, and I think we need larger coalitions. Even right now, when going through this primary, I get this question like, well, what wing of the party are you from? I'm like, what does it matter right now? Like this is a 5-alarm fire, right? We know what we need. I'm not saying it's not insignificant that you should know where I am politically, but I am right now ready to work with any and all who understands what that threat is, right? And the issue when you don't have an identified leader. So I hear all the time, I think the Democrats should be doing more. But when I say what should we be doing, there's not a lot of answers behind that second question because everyone seems to be upset. Like, yeah, I'm upset too. I could I could describe for 2 hours all the problems we have right now in the country. But what I don't hear a lot is the prescription, right? It's like we know what the problem is. I'm not sure we're in agreement on what the actual prescription is of what we should do. Here's what I think we should do. It's a short and a long-term strategy. When I say organize, I mean, and people are apoplectic, like right now, I think we're still going to have a midterm election. That's a whole other, like I'm not as, in the last 2 weeks I've started to think that maybe we're not going to have one. That's a whole other separate thing that I think we need to start thinking about and preparing for, because you could kind of see what he's doing and what he may do to try to make sure that we don't have an election in November of 26. But assuming we have a midterm election, like we got to show up. We got to vote. I mean, it's like if you look what just happened in the state of New Jersey in this gubernatorial election, we had 300,000 more people who voted, 300,000 more in the gubernatorial election than voted in 21 and 2017. It's a big number, right? And when we show up, we get better outcomes, we get better elected, in my opinion, officials, or at least we get what we want. Like, we can do that. And I had so many people say, I don't know what to do. I'm like, did you get the 5, did you do this? Did you get the 10 people that you're in your phone book and make sure that they showed up to vote? Because I guarantee you probably didn't. And I hate to say that there's like a simple element to that, but that is a big part of what we need to be doing to prepare for these various elections. Even right now, we have, again, it's a Thursday in February. I understand that. Turnout is relatively, I'm going to say, is low, right? For where we are in our country, we have to deal with that. Nationally, I don't think. Yes, we have a communication issue. I hear it all the time. Yes, we don't do a good job reminding folks what we stand for and what we're doing. Yes, we have a whole kind of issue. Is the tent too big, right? I mean, I'm not sure about that. That's something that I'm open. We have an undue influence of money in the process. There's no question. It's a big problem. Got to overturn, Citizens United. Corporations are not people. We have a whole bunch of governance issues right now that need to be attacked. It's one of the other things that I would love to have the opportunity to serve, because there are a bunch of what I'm going to call governance structure issues, like the composition of the House of Representatives, the Electoral College, how the Senate and the House actually operate. Those things are all concerns to me, because right now I'm not convinced that the institutions themselves are even equipped, no matter who's there, to meet the challenges that are before us, right? I harp on the 435. Why do we still have 435 members of Congress? It's an arbitrary number. We set that number when the country was 170 million less people, almost. It doesn't make sense. The Electoral College does not make sense anymore to elect in 2020, or in 2025, the chief executive of our country. So these are, no one's going to put that on a bumper sticker, right? You're not going to be running my campaign on let's up the number of let's get more politicians. That's not what I'm suggesting. But you gotta be able to do both of those. You gotta do those things at the same time. Nationally, yes. I mean, I would love to see us to be more aggressive. I thought it was a mistake to acquiesce on anything that he wanted to do in the beginning. I didn't need to see the sequel. Most sequels are usually worse than the original. I go to the movies enough. How many times do you ever say, hey, the second one was better than the first? Never. So, Godfather, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Terminator. Okay, there's a few. You're right. All right. They're out there. I'm gonna say that they're less than not. How about that?
It's certainly not his.
But definitely not his. And so you say, yeah, National Democrats, I don't think, and I know he has since said that it was a mistake, but I didn't need to know. I didn't need for my senator to have a relationship with Kristi Noem to know that that was not the vote to take. Like, I don't know what that was about. Like, it should have been no, period. Everything that should have been, it should have been no, I agree, on everything. And I don't think we should have made that deal that we just recently made either. Like, when we were negotiating and then we buckled, so to speak, it just should have been no, because every single time, like when Andy Kim took that vote and then he said, well, I had a relationship with the person. I'm like, yeah, I got it, but like, we normalize the behavior. Like, we cannot do that. That's my opinion.
So to that point, if you were in Congress today,
Yeah.
and there was a vote, which there might be, to defund ICE and close the government down, would you close the government down?
Absolutely.
And you
I'll take it a step further. I'm already on the record saying we should abolish ICE,
Yeah.
Immediately. So yeah, I would absolutely defund.
What worries me about the coalition is I heard Gottheimer and the other was not able to answer that question.
Yeah.
And he's in Bergen County.
Yeah.
And he's a Democrat in New Jersey. So what are we doing if Democrats are afraid?
Yeah.
If they're going to take money away from the funding, who cares if they take money away from FEMA and away from the Coast Guard and Army? Like, that's our money.
I agree. I would say at that point in time, that's where you need more members to come together. That's where,
But we're not tough enough to do that. We always give in. And the news media makes us give in. They're like, why? All these people are going hungry.
Yeah. I think that in the time and place we are right now, we would have potentially more success in holding people to a position that seems fairly obvious from where I sit.
Yeah.
And or at least get to them to the table, right? You have to show me something that says in the administration of this agency, we're going to change something. This is kind of the short and the long term, right? In the short term, in calendar year 26, there's still a lot you can do, but you're going to be in the minority. Doesn't mean there's still a ton you can do, but you're going to be in the minority. We're going to take, soon we have an election, we're going to take the House back, right? Then you get to the power of the purse, you get to, right, both appropriated and spent, not only appropriated money, but money that would potentially be in the budget. But yes, I agree. And I don't know, like with somebody, I'm sorry, just like, I saw Josh Gottheimer's interview, and I actually sent him a message to say, like, this is not where, just so you know, like, I saw him interviewed, and I saw the interview, and I'm like, I don't think this is where we should be. Like, this does not, I understand, like, the idea of reaching across the aisle. I understand, of course, of what you may need to do to deliver for the district, or if it's part of an overall strategy, meaning that, like, hey, if we have to get Gateway done because if Chuck Schumer has to take a step back because we have to play this game around Donald Trump, then yes, like we'll have strategic conversations, but
I think Europe just saw that all the stuff that they've done to acquiesce and give him a little bit and placate him is all back. None of it
doesn't
works.
work. It doesn't work. I agree.
So placating him doesn't work. Giving him a piece of something doesn't work.
Yeah.
Negotiating with him doesn't work. Giving him something. Gretchen Whitmer's going to find this out.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene found it out.
Yeah.
Giving him anything doesn't work.
Yeah. I agree.
Just a quick question, because honestly, the first time I heard about ICE was from you when you led the Essex County to break the contract.
Yeah.
And I even think it was a Democratic administration.
It was. No, there was.
Because ICE is not new. So what was it? What year was it? And I'm just curious, because I never really asked, but what was it about ICE at the time where you took a big stand, and even you took a stand against Joe G and everybody else, who you're supposed, so the regime. But what was it about it that you saw the rat, and what made it so that you stood up against,
so at the time, there was a Democratic-led federal policy. It was a Obama-Biden era policy that allowed county and it allowed government entities to have contracts with ICE to house nonviolent immigration, or actually, well, let's just say nonviolent immigration detainees. And it was a lot of money that you could receive from the federal government in order to execute. So Delaney Hall, which there's a lot of attention on now, Delaney Hall was a county-run facility at the time, and we at the County of Essex had a contract with the federal government that was worth anywhere from $40 to $50 million annually each year to be reimbursed to house these detainees. I thought the overall, both the facility itself and the detention or retention, particularly of the nonviolent folks who were there just basically for status, was just morally wrong. We also had a situation where populations got commingled, and one of those folks got killed.
What year was
So,
that?
so
though?
probably 2020. You're talking 2020. They had the contract for a long. They had the contract before I got on the board. So this was an issue that heated up probably 2018, 17, 18. I'm gonna say really 18, 19, 20. But we did not get out of the contract until 2022. So it took a period of time. But what we were able to do is we were able to convince both our state folks to pat. Now, the state of New Jersey actually eliminated or outlawed county and municipal governments from having these contracts, and eventually President Biden and his administration also adopted the same policy. So, and I did take on, Joe D was not happy. It was a loss of revenue. Democratic governors at that time, including the one that I helped elect. I've not always been on the same side of positions that he has taken. Even most recently, I was very vocal that he should have signed the Immigration Trust Directive. Very disappointed to see that he didn't, and told him that. But yeah, that was a time where, quite frankly, there weren't a lot of other elected officials in 2019 and 2020. In 2021 and 2022, not even many of our federal elected officials, the very same ones who are running down to Delaney Hall, weren't around a lot back then. So, and I think, it kind of wraps into this question about hey, what should we be doing as a national party? On certain things, we can't be scared of what some consultant or even as a person who's run to take advice from somebody like me who might be in that chair, quite frankly, to win this election. No, we should have been embracing that. I shared the same thing. I'm so happy to see Mikey Sherrill as our governor, but you know what? We should have been a lot more vocal about the Immigration Trust Act during that campaign. Saying we weren't going to support it. I don't think there's a pathway when we run away from those things. Have the same issue going on with our transgender community right now in this district. They are doing the same thing to our public health institutions. Atlantic Health is which is headquartered in Morristown. It is the largest employer in the Morris County portion of this district. It's probably the third largest employer in the entire, third or fourth in the entire district. They provide gender affirming care. They were on the verge of eliminating that care because the Trump administration was threatening them, to withhold reimbursements for Medicare and Medicaid and all types of other federal, just complete Jersey style. I call it, just being complete Jersey style extortion at the highest level, coming from the White House, and also saying that they were going to put the doctors in jail, and they were close to doing it. They were close to buckling, but luckily, and this is all publicly reported. Luckily, a lot of people spoke out. We stood up. And they were so far made the right decision, but there's going to be more of that, as we move forward. Mm-hmm. So, but thank you. Yeah, ICE has been something we've been working on for a long time. And we also, Charlie, I forgot. We also, at that time, I led the fight. We created the first independent review because there was also a lot of issues around what's going on in that facility. Now, our federal officials, we know Congresswoman McIver literally may go to jail for trying to exercise her federal oversight right. But we created an independent oversight review board with the ACLU. I sponsored that legislation at the county level. We created the first pro bono legal service program for the families in addition to the other, we funded it. We funded a program at Rutgers and Seton Hall where we had attorneys on the ground that were able to provide that service. So also we have to deal with what's in the immediate of what's going on to those individuals that's in the facility. Even as recently as tonight, the many of the volunteer groups, and by the way, even though I've done that work, and they're right, the volunteer groups and the real activists, they're not happy. They're still yelling at me because they're like, you should be doing more, and I'm okay with that. They're right. I'm not getting the result. They're out there freezing vigils. They're working with the families that are going in to see their family members that are in Delaney Hall. It took too long, but we finally got a tent. The Essex County Correctional Facility and Delaney Hall are next to one another. So we have a lot of people who are coming in to see people in our correctional facility, people who are in the county jail. But we were able to find some space in our parking lot, create a tent and situation where these people could not be in the elements, but we don't have heat. Right, so I'll just give you like where government like intersects. So here's something where I was like, listen, I'm just going to go to Home Depot and buy some heaters, and we're going to put them in the tent. It's like, no, because we're going to violate the following federal rules. It's propane, it's a fire hazard. It's like, I don't care. Like, we need to do something to help these people who were standing outside in 7-degree weather because they can't get inside to see their 17-year-old son who was picked up while he was doing laundry. Like, I don't give a shit what the regulation says. Like, this is a little more, maybe it's Trump-esque. Like, we just got to do the right thing, you know. But so we're dealing with that issue even right now.
So you kind of answered the esoteric question I was going to ask you, which is, it's hard to ask this question because when the house is on fire, you're talking about the foundation. But it was about Citizens United. Would you go down and support any moves that are made? I know HR1 from way back is on the back burner totally, but what I like to hear is the commitment that this is the heart of the problem. We got to do something about it. The only true fix is a constitutional amendment. It's a long road. There have been organizations on the long road. I've been with them.
I support a constitutional
and then
amendment.
Can I ask you one more?
Sure, yeah, please.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I support a constitutional amendment. We should got to overturn Citizens United. We got to look at, this goes into the governance thing. We probably need to look at age potentially requirements or term on the courts. Like this is a whole, maybe not age, but this is, I haven't really wrapped my head around this, but we have to do something with, again, the length of service, I think, on the courts. We obviously have to be open to expanding the number of Supreme Court justices, of course. But I forget, I don't know what the bill number is, but I would be in favor of all of that. I would also be in favor of something else, and this is just like where we move the conversation to, which is it's about disclosure. Like the problem with campaign finance is that all the rules and regulations, in my opinion, I've been a person now who's been a part of the system, like you got to compete, right? You got to compete. So in one arm, you don't want to disarm yourself in a fight, right? No. You got to exist in the environment as it is. But the rules are set up to try to cap what you can do versus just making it in 2025 right now. I'm running for Congress, and you cannot simply go to a website, it's complicated, and see who's giving me money, right? All the focus is on how much you can give, what type of money you can take. I'm not saying those things aren't relevant, but you know what's also relevant? Like in Virginia, in the gubernatorial elections, I'm not saying I adhere to this, they have no restrictions on how much can give to a gubernatorial candidate. None. Zero. Anybody can give. A corporation, a person, it doesn't matter. An LLC. A foreign agent. But you know what you can do in Virginia? I can go to the governor and I can look at her and I can quickly I can make my own decision. Here's who gave her money, and I can decide based on the decisions that she's made whether she's on the take to these people or not. I'm not saying that's the perfect system. What I'm suggesting right now is that we focus on trying to take all these certain types of money out of the process with no focus on why can I not easily find who's supporting these candidates. The other thing that the system has done, based on the way that they've created it, is they promoted, right, all these, they just figure out other ways to get around it. Super PACs, independent expenditures, you could go down the list. Those are all things that are actually in response to people who are actually, for the right reasons, trying to regulate the money, right? But McCain-Feingold was totally focused on capping things, which I thought was not really where, like, I really don't, like, why is it I can only take $3,500 per individual when I'm running for Congress. Why? Like, what is that? Some would argue, oh, well,
that's me, but not Elon Musk.
No. You, and that's what I'm saying. Elon Musk can give to other entities, but you and Elon Musk can give the same amount of money, right? You could only each as an individual give me up to 3,500. I'm just suggesting it's an arbitrary number. Like it doesn't. The idea is like, oh well, that's a number that someone could afford. It wouldn't. It means like I might not have access to more money.
What about to super PACs? Can people give
Unlimited.
unlimited amount?
Unlimited amounts.
So-
They also can give to. They also can give to the way that the structure of the both political action committees and the IRS structure works. You can have C4s, so you can have charitable organizations that are allowed to do a certain amount of political work as long as the splits are correct, and
And also,
and they don't have to disclose.
I have a somewhat uncomfortable question.
Sure.
So, the New Jersey and Essex County Democrats do not have a good reputation for probity. And the words that come up are hacks, they're corrupt, they're dishonest, they're doing favors for each other. I was surprised to find out that you have your own lobbying PR business and it's very intertwined with companies who have business in front of the state. And your presentation here has been so fabulous. But I was also shocked by your ads, by saying that Malinowski he got kicked out. He did not get kicked out, he got gerrymandered out. And
That's not true. That's not
Okay,
true.
well then,
Yeah.
I want to hear more about
Yeah.
that.
I'm
And-
happy to address it.
Okay, and that's why I came tonight,
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm having to do so much of my own research. So I don't know what to make of the fact that
Yeah.
a Google search will show
Yeah.
that there's so many people bringing you hundreds of, that you're working on campaigns for businesses that represent hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and they have business in
Yeah.
front of New Jersey.
So I'll I'm happy to address all those things. I'll work backwards. I'll come to Congressman Malinowski last. I run a communications and a public, so I'm not a lobbyist.
Okay.
I run a communications and a public affairs. I will go further than, I'm gonna go further than anyone else in this race about my small business, what it does, and ultimately how I earn a living. And then I'm gonna ask you to judge my record to see if there's ever been any suggestion that I ever let any of that, if whether you agree with it or not, influence the decisions that I've had to make as an elected official. I represent and have a communications and digital media firm. So I don't lobby, I don't do contractual work in front of, I don't pursue contracts from government entities. Do I do work for companies that may pursue, I do have companies that are part of my client base that may pursue work in front of or from state or federal agencies? Yes. Do I do anything in that space? No.
Interesting.
So that's, I mean, it's a distinction. We have, by and large, are in the advocacy space, meaning we do corporate comms. We help give strategic advice and counsel on knowledge, yes, that we've acquired over time being in this space. So like the idea that a government entity and a let's say a Fortune 500 company is not going to have some intersection. It's just not realistic. Like it's just not realistic. So we do take on clients who pay us to give them strategic counsel and advice on how they should think about a government affairs strategy. But there's a big distinction, quite frankly, in doing that and me, like, I managed Governor Murphy's campaign. I told anybody who ever wanted to hire my firm, if you're hiring me because you think I'm going to call Governor Murphy for you, don't hire me, because that's not what we do. If you're hiring a firm that may tell you this is how you should think about the new landscape, if you are in this space, like you care about the Essex Hudson Greenway, we've had nonprofits that we've worked with over the years, like that's the space that we're in. Secondly, the ad. Why am I running that ad? I'm running that ad to draw contrast to something that I believe is been misrepresented in this campaign. Congressman Malinowski did not just lose his, by the way, it's not anybody's seat. He didn't lose the 7th congressional district race because he was gerrymandered. That's not true. There was Congressman Gottheimer's district, Congresswoman Sherrill's district, and Congressman Andy Kim's district in his. There were four Democrats, right, that we cared a lot about, that we were trying collect, not, I'll say we as a party. I think it's also important to walk this back that New Jersey has probably the most, and this is, he's being disingenuous. New Jersey has the most apolitical process that you can have in the country to draw congressional lines. The way that congressional districts get drawn in New Jersey, unlike other states where the maps go through the legislature, is that there's a commission. There's 5 Democrats, there's 5 Republicans, and they agree on an 11th member if they cannot come to an agreement on what the map should be. And the appointments come from the leadership of the party. So the governor, if you have the governor gets to appoint someone, the state party chair, the Senate president, and the speaker. So you have an obligation if you're in Congress and you're worried about that type of stuff to do some work in that space, right? Like you have to do some work. So I don't think there was a lot of work done. But collectively, what the Democrats were looking at,
what do you mean you have to do some
meaning
work?
that when you were Congressman Malinowski, if you were worried about your district, there was not a lot of communication between the governor, the Senate, and the people that were going to serve. Like that's part of your job. You didn't do it, right? So I'm not sympathetic to this idea that he got screwed by the Democrats. Like no, like there was a big board, and we had to look at how do we protect as many of these seats as possible, and we were able to strengthen. We took Andy Kim's district from a swing district to a solidly Democratic district. We took Josh Gottheimer's district from a swing district to a solidly Democratic district. We took Mikey Sherrill's district from a swing district to a solidly Democratic district. And unfortunately, District 7's in the middle of the state. So he lost some places and gained some places that made his re-election that much tougher. That's important to understand. The second thing is that he also made decisions while he was a member of Congress that cost us in that process. He did sell COVID stocks during individual COVID. This is a fact. This is not negative campaigning, this is a fact. He sold individual COVID stocks during COVID, which means he was making money while we were trying to respond to a pandemic. And he didn't report it. And the reason that the investigation was not closed the first time is because when he was asked about it, he lied. So now he is going around saying that he can't win because he was beaten up by the big bad Democrats. And he is seeking, by the way, when he left office, he didn't move into this district. He assumed the chairmanship of the Hunterdon County Democratic Organization, which is about as far from this district as you can get. For 2 years, I go look up what the people who worked with him had to say about his leadership during that time period. He left them too. That's all public. Been a lot of stuff said. Then has now decided that he's running in our district, our district, which I'm a constituent, and even if I wasn't in this race, I'd be saying this to you because I wouldn't be supporting him. I'm supposed to believe that his ambition to get back to Washington is about us. It's not. And that's why I'm running that ad, because he didn't lose.
It's not a great ad. I've got to say, I feel like it just does not, you tonight are showing off yourself as being so intelligent, so locally focused, so deeply knowledgeable about the issues, and that just seems like a Trumpian hysterical ad.
I appreciate that.
No,
I deeply appreciate it. I'll say this finally on it. I struggled. It was a tough decision. I have limited. He also, again, I'm not trying to throw it back on him, but like while we were making sure Mikey Sherrill was the next governor, he was in Washington raising money. That's a fact. He had a fundraiser in Washington for this congressional seat the Thursday before Election Day. So like so we've had limited resources. He has the most money in this campaign. He has, because he ran in a swing district in 18, 20, and 22, he also had $50+ million spent in the New York media market on his campaigns, which means that most people unfortunately don't know what congressional district they're in. They know names, right? And he has the most name ID in this race by far, even though he doesn't have what I would believe the connective tissue to a district when you're seeking to represent it in Congress. And finally, before I finally landed on it, he doesn't have to be running here. If he was running in the 7th district, I supported him. I raised money for him, like we all did, right? Like we made sure that he got there, right? Like, hey, I'm sorry, because you know what? One thing that would have prevented those ads from not coming, run in the district you live in. So like, I'm sorry, like I feel that it's really kind of Barack Obama actually just tweeted about this the other. I can't believe I'm referencing X, but he actually tweeted about this the other day. I think it's a part of like where we are. He said because he was talking about the gerrymandering across the country, and he was like cautioning the Democrats, right, about this strategy, and he just said, voters should choose their politicians. Politicians shouldn't choose their voters. So I appreciate that. I definitely did struggle. I don't want to say that I wasn't aware of it. I struggle with it because of that name ID for me, and I may not get there, but what I can guarantee you is that I will still be here to participate in any way that I can. But I had to my team had to make a political decision to try to win a campaign, to try to draw contrast with the person that has the most name ID, which he does, in this race.
Thank you, very interesting.
No, I appreciate the question. I want you to, what I want mainly to come across is not something that I did easily. I would love to be running 30-second spots about how wonderful I am, but guess what? I probably wasn't going to win. So that's just the reality.
My other
Of course.
Well,
I'm hoping I don't lose your support after these answers tonight. You're wearing the button already, so I'm like, this is going to only go.
To talk to you. So I had the heartbreaking experience of working for 2 candidates who then went and joined No Labels.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put you on the spot. I know it might not be a decision you make, but do you have a sense of who you would caucus with, who you think your strongest, allies would be? And then the other part 2 of this is, like, is there anything we can do to reach our Republican representatives?
So I'll take them backwards. I'm not sure on how reaching, District 7 is a good example. Tom Kane Jr. right now still has 2 websites. He has a website for if you're identified as a MAGA supporter. This is the son of considered to be one of the greatest governors we've ever had. I would argue that Tom Kane Sr. left the state in a mess. That's a whole different conversation. But he was known as a moderate, right? A moderate Republican that I could potentially disagree with, but we had the interests of, I think, of our constituents, and we're both starting there. He will not say on the record that the 2020 election was valid, even today. This is Tom Kane Jr., who served in the state Senate, the state assembly, who was educated at the finest schools in New Jersey, and everything else, who will not say. So I don't know. I have yet to see anyone in their party, not anyone, but very few, who are willing to take that next step. He's been unbelievably quiet on this most recent murder in Minneapolis. You don't have to, you can watch the video. That's a murder. It's a government-sanctioned murder. He has said zero, nothing. And it's another reason that I'm upset about Malinowski running in this district, because he would have cleared the field in District 7 right now. We have a big primary where we're going to waste millions of dollars, because if he had run in District 7, he would have cleared the field point blank. Rebecca Bennett is an excellent candidate. There's a lot of other good candidates, but she has said publicly, I would not have run if he had announced in that district. So it's another thing. So I don't know. I'm not totally optimistic that we're gonna be able to move some of them over. You know, what was the first?
Just, do you have any idea of who you might caucus with?
Oh, caucus.
Who
I
you think
screened.
your
So I screened with.
allies or-
I screened with the Progressive Caucus in this race. I screened. I don't think I'm not a no labels fan. You know, I don't see that.
None of them repeated at January 6th?
Yeah. There's no Progressive Caucus, infrastructure, transportation, and I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks, Ben. We're good. Bennett's doing his job, telling me that there's also some other stuff that we have tonight.
Yep.
But no. I want to be conscious of everyone's time as well. I haven't given a tremendous. There's a tremendous amount of caucuses. I pursued the Progressive Caucus endorsement in this race. I came close. There obviously is a candidate who's coming out of the working families, party. So, but we're probably like pretty close on the majority of the. I would say on the majority of the issues, maybe other than some of the issues dealing with the Middle East, is probably a place where I would say there's some separation. I've given more thought to the committees that I would potentially want to serve in than the caucuses.
What committees are those?
Sorry. Transportation and infrastructure, science and technology, or potentially, and then either education would maybe be my third. We also potentially have an opportunity, because of this district is uniquely seated, to actually though also be ahead of it in some ways. We have the ecosystem that some of the leading companies in that space and people that work for those companies want. We have institutions of higher learning, we have access to New York, we have good local quality, public schools. So there's also, I think, an opportunity to force conversations and bring people together to talk about what that means. Of course, I'm very concerned about what we do in a capitalistic society where we have no jobs. So, which is kind of what we're barreling towards right now. So, so we got to talk about universal basic income. We have to be talking about that right now, I think. So, and then last but not least, you can touch on this. You have 7 companies, right, that make up the S&P 500 right now. They control everything that we consume in terms of information on these devices. And both as a parent, I can tell you that I don't need a lot of studies to know that we have a severe behavioral health issue with our young people right now because of the impact of the content that they're consuming. And it's not regulated at all in a way that it should be. And I'm not suggesting we need to bury our head in the sand and say, we can't, it's here. But we need guardrails in place immediately around that. We need to figure out other ways to hold those companies accountable for what they're doing, both to our young people and the general information. This is one thing where I would say the congressman and I do agree, which is he's talked about it on the camp, at these various forums that we've had. I'm committed to that same thing. I want to be a part. I think this is if my kids are lucky enough to be able to have a family and have some of the same opportunities and access to the American dream the way that I did, I think it's going to be like cigarettes. I think they're going to say, I cannot believe that you let us have these or these devices at this time in the formative years of our life.
Right.
And
free reign.
And free reign. My two were in that cohort where, plus COVID. So my now junior in high school, he was in the 5th grade during COVID. He never made the proper transition. He was he didn't go to school for 6th grade. Didn't get into school until May of his 7th grade year. So it's a whole other, right, so he has a whole other, learning loss, academic challenges there for sure, but also like socially, like he's a junior, and I know you don't make policy anecdotally, but like emotionally and behaviorally, he's like he's still in the 8th or 9th grade, even though he's a junior in high school. So it's like we're talking about like, hey, you're gonna go to college, and we're doing that whole process right now. But I'm like, it's gonna be some bumps for sure in the road, and that's fine. I mean, I had my fair share, but it's a big issue that we got to deal with, and the fact that you could say one thing, and 40% of the America, 35 to 40, doesn't believe you. I mean, literally, right? I mean, you could say, there was a blizzard yesterday, and they tell you. So that part, I'm not sure. If we can't agree that this is a cup. It's very hard to have the debate about what do you use the cup for? Should we make a cup? Should we fund a cup? What's the best type of cup? Like that's where the debate's supposed to rest, right? But we can't even agree that this is a plastic cup.
Many of our astute peers have taken the other route and said we just need massive education at, starting critical thinking. We can't, regulation, it's like the raft with the hole in it, you put your finger on it, but if you prepare your people for what's going on and the changes that are happening, I don't know.
I'm very open. I will not suggest that I'm an expert by any stretch in that space, but I think I know enough to know that we got to get smart people around the table, right, and broad section of people. And that's one of the things with this office, I would say finally too, is that we would have standing committees in my office. That's one of the things that I learned in working for the people that I work for. Not just forums, not just meet and greets, not just town halls. Like town halls are great, but they're only one part of what you should be doing. Member of Congress should have standing committees on all these issue areas, and those folks should meet regularly with the member and with their staff. So it's not just, we do a forum today on AI. It's no, we have a technology committee. It's made up of representatives from those companies, from our institutions of higher learning, from other people who cross-section with that. They are assigned to a staffer in the office. They communicate with that person. You then get better outcomes. You get better public policy outcomes because that communication works between the office. So it's actually, again, I'll bring it back to Glen Ridge. One of the things. And when we cleaned up Carteret Park, it was a radon site, Superfund site that for years, right, was a big issue in the community. But there was standing committees that were communicating, as soon as the Congressman Pasquale got sworn in, like we were on the ground, dealing with local, then Mayor, I think Councilman Plate, among Peter Hughes. I mean, I could go down the list of other people who were involved. So I think, that's where I kind of say, like, I do think that experience does matter and helps you maybe be able to do the job a little bit better. So I appreciate it. I'm sorry because I have a couple of other things tonight. I'll make sure if anyone wants to continue any of these conversations, I'm more than happy to do that. I'm very easy to reach, and thank you for being here tonight.
And thank you for coming.